The Senate GOP revealed their health care bill today, and they also revealed something that I think we all feared but also expected: defunding Planned Parenthood. Now, the GOP bill follows the same language in the House-passed health care bill in blocking Medicaid reimbursements to Planned Parenthood, which obviously provides women's health care and abortion services. So what this means is that 60% of Planned Parenthood's 2.5 million patients will no longer be able to go there for affordable birth control, pap smears, testing, and treatment for sexually transmitted infections or breast exams, okay? The family planning provider would lose nearly $500 million in federal reimbursements, a financial hit that would force many of its clinics to close, especially in poor and rural areas. And those are the people that this bill is going to disproportionately affect, obviously, especially women who are living in low income areas. Now, the CBO estimated that this would cause 15% of low income and rural women to lose access to any kind of family planning services. And this isn't just sort of like we think this is gonna happen. We've seen this happen before. In fact, when Texas cut Planned Parenthood out of its women's health program back in 2011, 30,000 women lost access to publicly funded family planning services, and the maternal mortality rate in the state doubled. And so I think that's something that's really important to focus on, because a lot of the people who are opposing this are pro-life. And obviously when you are increasing mortality rate, that is not a pro-life stance. In fact, and to kind of further that point there, a lot of the federal funding, all of the federal funding that goes to Planned Parenthood is just so that they can be reimbursed for people who have Medicaid. It doesn't actually fund abortions. And I think people get really, really confused about that, because there's something that's called the Hyde Amendment, which doesn't allow federal funding for abortions. So this is just going to basically hurt women who are going to trying to get birth control, which is a huge preventer when it comes to poverty. Women who are trying to prevent sexually transmitted diseases, like we saw when former Governor Pence tried to shut down Planned Parenthood in Indiana, and we saw this huge HIV outbreak, and women who are trying to prevent cancer by going to get breast exams. So this is devastating to women all around the country, regardless of their socioeconomic background, but especially for low-income women.
So first point on this is the pro-life thing. First of all, look, I don't mind people calling themselves pro-life. So a lot of people say, oh, anti-choice and yada yada. But I think people get to call themselves whatever they want. Having said that, they're not actually pro-life. Let's just be clear about that. They are anti-abortion, because they're a lot of, according to the polling, great majority of the people who claim that they are pro-life are in favor of the death penalty. Not really a pro-life position to be in favor of the death penalty. And by the way, a position that the Pope disagrees with and Christian leaders disagree with. But it doesn't matter if you're conservative, you're like, but I really want to kill those guys, but I'm pro-life. No, you're not. You just want to stop abortions. That's fine, that's your opinion. And just be more upfront about it. So when you get to maternal care, and like, I don't want, like, I'm not actually pro-life if the kid dies because I didn't want to pay for it. I didn't want to pay for it. Okay, then admit who you are. But I'm going to go further than that. In this particular case, this bill will almost certainly create, even if all you cared about is abortion, and I think you should just admit that that's all you care about. This bill will almost certainly create more abortions. Now, why? I mean, there's a whole point is like, oh, Planned Parenthood does abortions, we defund them, and yeah, we got them. First of all, your money never went towards abortions in the first place, as Hannah explained. Second of all, the main thing that you're gonna do is you're gonna cut birth control that people were accessing through Planned Parenthood. Like, I know you live in a fantasy world where if you cut birth control, people stop having sex, but on planet Earth, that's not how it works. Since we're human beings, we still have sex, and then you have a lot more pregnancies. That's borne out by study after study and state after state. There's no question about it, plus common sense. And so you'll have more pregnancies, and whether you like it or not, you'll have more abortions. Abortion is legal in the country. So congratulations, pro-lifers. You just absolutely did the most counterproductive thing you can do about the one cause you actually care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the thing, it's gonna be more abortions, but also more unsafe abortions, people who are trying to do back alley abortions and things like that. So it is increasing deaths, which is supposedly something that a lot of these pro-lifers are against.
Yeah, and it's a matter of really taking your eye off your goals, your stated goal, because they have created this idea that Planned Parenthood is the enemy, and that's enough, and that's the destination, without really thinking through all the ramifications of smiting your enemy, which creates more problems than were existing before you actually got to it. They're throwing the baby out with the bathwater, is what it is.
Almost literally in this case.
Yes.
So one more thing, voting matters, and look, no one agrees with you on the frustration of our so-called democratic system today than I do. I just participated in a debate at Oxford, please, I do declare, where I was for the position that democracy is for sale, especially in America where we have legalized bribery of politicians. So I get your frustrations, but from time to time, voting really does matter, because if, as bad as Hillary Clinton was and as systematically corrupted as she was, if she had won, you would not defund Planned Parenthood and you wouldn't have these consequences. And so if you ever use Planned Parenthood, or were gonna use it in the past, your vote would have mattered in your life, period.
And by the numbers, that's 1 in 5 women.
Right, it's 1 in 5 women. And also, like, even if you aren't going to use Planned Parenthood, or somebody you know hasn't used Planned Parenthood, and really all you care about is your wallet, right? Taxpayers. So I've done a few videos where I talk about and wrote a few articles talking about birth control. A lot of people are like, oh, there shouldn't be contraception coverage. Women should just pay for birth control if they want it. But I don't think they understand, like, the economic ramifications of that, and the fact that when you are, one, paying for women to have birth control coverage, and paying for things like Planned Parenthood so that they can gain access to birth control, okay, then you're avoiding later costs, right?
Yes.
Of paying for kids who are in poverty, other, in situations like that, right? And then the other component is that these women will then be able to go on to and get further education, and then be contributing to society more. So it's also like, if all you care about is your wallet, there's a huge economic benefit to having funding for things like Planned Parenthood and contraception coverage.
There's no reason for this at all if you think it through. It's just so frustrating. I feel like there's gotta be this moment in the future where people look up and say, like, what are we fighting for? Because yeah, absolutely, your ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and so this is the ounce of prevention. So I've never heard articulated to me any real reason for getting rid of Planned Parenthood, because no dollars are legally allowed to go to fund abortions.
Right.
And you're just creating way more problems that you've said you're against. And then the last thing is just about, aside from that, all this, the procedural issues of this, the idea that this might not even stand up to the final vote because defunding something takes it out of the budget process, the filibuster-proof budget process, just goes to show how complicated and ridiculous the process itself is, that a funding measure takes it out of the filibuster-proof budget process. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't understand it.
The representatives who are voting on this aren't really voting for what the people actually want. 62% of Americans don't want Planned Parenthood to be defunded. So these representatives aren't even representing their own people and constituents.
And this might just be to get a score that can be in ads when it says like 99% they voted with pro-life groups.
Yeah, well, which brings me back to voting, because almost everything done in Congress now is to make the donors happy. But this one is actually not one of them. This is the rare exception. This is the one thing that Republicans are doing to appease their voters. Who are their voters? Now, yes, the overwhelming majority of the country is in favor of Planned Parenthood, but not necessarily Republican voters. 81% of white evangelical voters voted for Donald Trump, 81%. And you know how much turned out? 85% of white evangelicals turned out to vote. So they got the one thing they wanted, right or wrong, whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. They wanted to kill Planned Parenthood, so they're gonna kill Planned Parenthood. If you want the things that you care about, not only to protect things like Planned Parenthood, but to have maybe positive change in the world, why don't you vote 85%, and have that kind of voter turnout? Then on the rare case where it'll make a difference, and this is that case, then you'll have the power instead of them. Young Turks membership creates independent media.
Believe me.
No ads.
Believe me.
All the shows.
Believe me.
On demand.
Believe me.
Support independent media.
Believe me.
It's awesome, tremendous. You'll love it.
Believe me.
And by the end, you'll be thinking,
I'm like a smart person.
tytnetwork.com/join.